Hey, it's Dan, and welcome to Unified Gaming. So, you're after a sniper that actually works. This is it. This is the best sniper I have used in years. This is only possible because of the changes in Update 41. We have stupidly high damage, like we can burst people with 30k health, max resist in 2 or 3 seconds, which is pretty solid for a sniper. We have max movement speed, and we also have infinite sustain. Honestly, I don't know what Zos was thinking with this patch, but honestly, it's everything for a Nightblade. If you're a Nightblade, this is the patch for you. I'm actually recording this part of the video earlier than I would usually. I've been testing this on PTS for 3 weeks now. Different iterations, different testing in duels, in battlegrounds, in IC, against dummies, against other players to find out what works, what is best, what do you need to farm day one. And this has all of that. If you want to see this kind of stuff in the future and you want to see what to farm day one for a build, let me know in the comments below and I'll do this going forward. And I will also be posting any updates to this build in the description below. So if there are slight changes, I will put an update. Equally, if there's a massive change, I'll just make a new video. But let me know what you think about this kind of style. And as always, if you'd like what I do here, then do like, comment, share and subscribe. It really helps. And do consider supporting on Patreon, where there's more exclusive stuff, behind the scenes, bonus content, etc, etc. But what are we doing here? Well, for this, we are a Khajiit. Khajiit, Dark Elf, very similar damage. Basically, it comes down to this. Do you want to have slightly higher crit burst, or do you want to have more consistent damage? That's it. The only advantage Khajiit does have is you do get to get a bit closer to the enemy, but you're a sniper, you're at range, why would you do that? So, don't be a Khajiit just because you want this passive. You know, Feline Ambush is great for melee builds. It doesn't really do much for a Nightblade. As a sniper, you want max range anyway. But that's kind of the races. It's Dark Elf or Khajiit. They're the best two. As for kind of attributes, 32 health, 32 stamina. You want 29,000 health. If you can get 30k, great. And everything else into stamina. If your race is slightly different, then just move them around to get 29, 30k health, you're good to go. We are a Vampire Stage 3. This gives us just really good tankiness because of Undeath. So if you're unfamiliar, Vampire gives you access to Undeath, makes you just tanky when you're low health. It's a defensive set. You get bonus damage when you come out of sneak, misform, invisibility, so free damage, and you can sneak around at full speed. My sneak speed, if you're curious, is this fast. This is me sneaking. So yeah, we are really fast. As for our Munderstone, we are using the Lover. If you are playing in CP Cyrodiil or CP IC, use the Lover because you have enough movement speed from the CP stars to not need the steed. If you are in Battlegrounds and you want to have a bit more movement speed, then I would suggest using the steed. The steed will give you that extra speed, which you will lose from the CP. Equally, you could just stick with the Lover for more damage, but the time to kill in no CP versus Lover and Steed was very similar. It was like 2.5, 3 seconds for both. So it's like literally a difference between if one skill crits or not. So I wouldn't, go Lover more damage. Is try them both, see how they feel for you. For the consumables, try potions as always. Health, magic, and stamina. Low on one of those, pop one, you're good to go. Jules Mistral, this is health and just regen. It's amazing. If you want to go for a bit more money and get slightly better stats, the Smoked Bear Haunch is better, but it costs so much more. So, Jules Mistral is what I actually use on the live server. It's just cheaper to run, and it's very, very similar. I want to go through the skills now, and the skills are very similar, but also changed quite a bit. I'm going to just show the normal stats, and I'll show them buffed up, okay? But we have Lethal Arrow, which is 8 and a bit K, Silver Bolts, Vigor, Shadowy Disguise, Relentless Focus, and Incap. These are like nothing special here. The one thing to note with Silver Bolts, and this is worth mentioning, is in the Fighters Guild, for some reason, Sauce's logic, I swear, you question them sometimes, is that AoE skills do slightly less damage than single target. So if I morph this to Silver Shards, it does less damage than it would at Silver Bolts, even ranked up. So we're going to leave it at Silver Bolts because it does more damage. It's that simple. We don't need an AoE. Why? We're a sniper. You also get the Slayer passive, so you get more weapon damage, which is great. and you also get more damage with skilled tracker to werewolves and vampires, which most people are vampires nowadays, so it's just 10% more damage. So this is quite a good skill, in all honesty, to use. If you don't like it though, you could go with the Sigic Order for crushing weapon. Similar damage, you get major breach, you do have more follow-up damage. If you miss, you get the resources back pretty much. It's incredibly clunky, but it is very good if it works. If you really, really want though, you could go to Poison Injection. Poison Injection of this patch honestly was not worth it. The damage is not there. You can't execute quick enough, and you don't need the dot damage. You want to be killing them fast. Yes, you do get the bonus damage of the low health, but it doesn't really amplify the actual initial hit high enough to make it worthwhile. So personally, Silver Bolts was the best option to use. Relentless Focus is also here, but it's not here for what you think. It's been changed in this patch where whatever bar you're on, you can just charge it up, and it doesn't reset. So what does that actually mean? Well, my stat page currently for my weapon damage is 3,700. We're going to go to a target dummy and just light attack it, and you'll see on the right that the skill's now ready, so I'm going to get rid of the dummy, and we have 4,253. Now what's really good about this is that does not change. We can sit like this infinitely, and I'll show you at the end of the video, we still have the same amount of damage. And obviously when you get Rally, you can obviously increase that even further. We're now 5.5k, which is quite a big damage boost. So if you see Relentless Focus, treat it as a free damage buff. It's an extra 400 weapon and spell damage, which is incredible, because 8 times 5, sorry. And what makes it even better is that you can buff it with Major Brutality and Sorcery, so you get obviously the 400 plus the extra 20% on top. So this is like 500 weapon damage. It's really good if you don't use it. And if you need to, a massive hit anyway. And then obviously when you do all of this with your Vampire Sneak passives, you get 5.3k. It's really, really good. So it's just definitely worth looking into it and making sure that you get the damage how you want. So that's kind of why that's there. Incap is here because if they get close to us, we can hit them with an Incap into a Silver Bolts, and that will one-shot most people, will do enough damage for them to retreat, and you can get away. Or you can go Incap into Relentless Focus and normally one-shot people. On the back bar, Siphon Strikes, Race Against Time, Healthy Offering, Concealed Weapon, Rally, and Temporal Guard. You're probably going, why you've got Concealed Weapon on the back bar? In Update 41, whilst it's slotted on any bar, you get Minor Expedition, which is 15% movement speed. So we can keep it on the back bar, get speed, switch to the front bar, and still keep the speed. So it's really, really nice. You might also notice that the damage boost, the 10% boost, is only to that skill now, not every skill. So that's why we back bar it. It's just a buff. You don't need to cast it. It's just giving us free speed. Siphon Strikes has also had a really big change, and this is the game changer to any Nightblade build this patch. It costs health, 4,300, loads of health, but it gives you resources back when you cast it, 2.6k. What does that actually mean? Well, it means you can do really crazy stuff like this. So if I run out of stamina, really quick, let me just get rid of all of my stamina. So I'm pretty much out of stamina. We'll do one roll. There we go. So I can cast this, and look how quick that stamina can go up. So, you go, oh, that's really good, isn't it? But you're almost dead now. Well, you can't kill yourself with the skill, so that's a good positive to note. But you can also heal yourself with it. And so what makes this really powerful is if you combine this with Vigor, which is why we have Vigor. Vigor is a heal over time. It's like 18k. If you put on a buff and stuff, it will go up to almost 20k when it's fully buffed, which is really, really decent. In PvP, it's about 10k over 5 seconds because it's halved. 10,000 is less than 4,300. What does that actually mean? It means we can do something like this. We can get out of our resources, be completely out of stats. We can cast Figure, and then just spam this. And as we sneak around, we're healing, and our resources are going up really high. And I'm pretty much 16k stam in like 4 seconds. It is really, really good. So that's why we use Vigor, because you can basically cast the Siphon Strikes for free every second and just get your resources back. And if for some reason, if you get really low and you have dots on you and you get low health, or the vigor falls off, it's very easy to get yourself below where you don't want to be. But you got the big burst still there, and then you're back to full health with full resource. So this makes it really, really strong. The other advantage you can do with this is that you can keep race against time up always, so that movement speed buff. And then if you just need to every now and again, just chuck out a Siphon Strikes and keep going. So it's a really good way to just have even faster movement speed, and your passive health regen will just offset that typically, or you can chuck out a Vigor every now and again, or just a Burst Steal. The last benefit you can do with it, and you can see how overloaded this skill is for a Nightblade, is if you cast Cloak, it's very hard to permanently cloak on any build, unless you have Dial Up Bray. So you can see that as we're keeping that cloak on, we actually are unable to go and sustain it infinitely. We'll get to the point where we run out of Magicka. So I think we've got to that point here, or thereabouts. It'll be this one here. So I'm pushing it now, and I'm like popping out of stealth now. So you can see there it is. What you can do, however, is this. You can go and cast Sneak, swap bar, cast the Siphon Strikes, Cloak, Siphon Strikes, Cloak, Siphon Strikes, Cloak, Siphon Strikes, Cloak. You can put them on one bar if it's easier for you. And you can also chuck in Vigor in the mix. You go Vigor, Cloak, Siphon Strikes, Cloak, Siphon Strikes, Cloak, Vigor, Siphon Strikes, Cloak. And you're just moving around like really, really easily without losing health. It's really, really good. So that's a really good way to get around the battlefield if you need to, especially if you're being chased by a Zerg. You can do that a couple of times without... you can even use a potion as well, and that doesn't pull you out of stealth to heal. So it just helps you get out of trouble much more than it used to. So that's why we're using this. It's just a big game changer. Rally is just a damage buff, is why we have that. And Temporal Guard is up to you. It's just a passive defense buff, but you can use Soul Tether. The back bar skills do not change, in all honesty, apart from the ultimate. The front bar skills are up to you. I'll keep them the same if you can, and you can swap the heals around if you prefer. Vigor on the back bar, Burst on the front if you wish, or vice versa. For champion points really quickly, for the blue ones, Fighting Finesse is just crit damage, Master Arms and Deadly Aim to buff our single target and direct damage, and Wrathful Strikes to buff our damage again. For the red ones, we have Sustained Suffering, so this just gives you regen, Pain's Refuge for just defense, Survival Instincts for things like Sneak being cheaper, Roll Dodge, etc, etc, so anything that uses stand basically. And then Bastion, because you do more damage to shields. We have no shields, but there's going to be many sorcerers this patch, so we want this to help counter those. And for the green ones, Sustaining Shadows for just sneak reduction, and Seed's Blessing for movement speed when we're out of combat. So that's kind of the CB. I appreciate there's a lot of information in this video already, so if you haven't kind of got to grips with those things and the skills particularly, do watch them back. And the last thing to do is just to sum up the sets. For the sets, we are using Way of the Fire. It's a staple, and we are front bar in this. So it means when we go to the front bar, Way of the Fire turns on. If you wish, you can back bar it and have it on both bars. That's absolutely fine. But we don't have a dot, so we don't need to. That frees up our back bar for a set of choice. You could use the Vate 2H, which will give you the momentum buff. So when you have momentum, you cast stand skills, you get bonus damage. It stacks for a long time. The downside is, though, that it's really hard to charge up in all honesty. So I would personally just use anything with 2-piece defense if you wish, or 2-piece sustain. We then use 1-piece Krag, and we have fire on the chest, fire on the bow, and on the jewellery. The other set we use is Tarnished Nightmare. This is a brand new set in Update 41. It is really good. It's like 5.5k, and when we buff it's about 6.5k fully buffed. And what this does is it hits the target, but it can crit, and it crits like when you use your combo. So if I show you what I mean, if I get this like here, I can go into Cloak and just... Then if we look at our combat metrics, you will see that the lethal arrow will crit, but more often than not this can crit because of the high crit chance. And so when it does crit, you end up getting a lot of damage. So there's the crit there, it was a 10k on the dummy. On a player, it's about 5-6k on a player, where the fire can crit. So we use this because it is really, really good damage. It's basically Way of the Fire, but in an instant hit. So it's like 2 Way of the Fires in an instant hit, whereas Way of the Fire is a little bit less. So that's why we use this. It's a really good set. This is with update 41, as I said, so you have to farm it. It is from the Scions of Ithelia, I think it's pronounced, and it comes from the Oathsworn Pit. I will farm it on the live server as soon as the patch drops on Monday, so tomorrow, and this will be the go-to ganking set, in all honesty. The Moth is hit and miss, the heavy attack monster set is hit and miss, but this is really good. To set this up, we have it on the shoulders, the waist, the hands, the legs and the feet. All medium, all defines. Just heavy on the chest and medium on the helm. You could add in a light helmet if you want for more health with Undaunted, but I would rather have the damage. We then have fire on the ring and the neck, infused weapon damage, and wild hunt. You could change wild hunt to something like Marken for more damage, or you could change it for Sea Serpent's Coil if you really want, or just a mythic of choice. Death Dealer's Feet can be interesting, but I'll probably go Marken for the damage if you were going to go and change this. Me personally, I love the speed, and I can kill absolutely fine with this build. But that's kind of how it works, guys. The changes to the skills means we can run 2 damage sets and have crazy sustain. We also hit really hard because of the proc sets, and the changes to the skills in the past patch or 2 means we can just stack our damage really, really high without any downside. So it's just really, really good. Yeah, 5.5k weapon damage. It's just solid. So that's how the build works. Obviously, I appreciate there's no gameplay in this video, so if you do want to see gameplay and stuff, I will be streaming this next Saturday, so literally in a couple of days, and I will show this live when I'll try and get the sets farmed, so you can see how it actually plays. And if you are a member on Patreon and stuff, I'll be putting some stuff up even earlier in the week, so you can see it there. But I'm going to wrap it up here, so I'm going to say a massive thanks to everybody that has commented, liked, subscribed, and just helps the channel that way. And a bigger thanks to all the people on Patreon who help make the videos possible. But as always, I'll catch you in the next video or on the next stream. So thanks for watching, take care, and bye!